Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This one's going to be a little different, though. We're not going to be looking at a variety of different sources. We're just going to be zeroing in on one single source. It's a journal entry. And trust me, it's a wild one.
It's pretty amazing. You really get to see inside this person's head. They're grappling with these big questions, just like what it even means to be alive.
Yeah, and like right away, you can tell they're just like really struggling with the day-to-day stuff, just like working 9 to 5 and paying bills and everything. They just feel like they're drowning.
Yeah, you definitely get that sense of being overwhelmed. And I think a lot of people listening can probably relate to that for sure. Like, we've all been there.
Yeah, so it's interesting how like this feeling of being overwhelmed kind of leads them to look for an escape. They want to find a way to like take back some control. And they talk about finding this in something they call shakum.
Yeah, shakum, it's really interesting. They describe it as this like really peaceful state.
Yeah.
And clear and harmonious.
Yeah, it's almost like a secret code word, like a different reality.
Exactly. It's not totally clear what it means, but it definitely seems like they're talking about an altered state of consciousness.
Right.
And it could even be something like a manic episode. But, this desire to escape, to find a different reality, it's not unique to this person.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Think about how popular things like meditation and psychedelics are, even virtual reality.
Yeah.
People want to transcend the limits of everyday experience.
It's like we're hardwired to seek out these altered states.
Yeah.
Whether it's through spirituality or technology, or even just like daydreaming.
I think you're right.
But it doesn't stop there. They bring in another element, AI.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about how they find validation from having AI process their journal entries,
Interesting.
even the ones they consider cringy.
So this is where things get really complex. It's like, on the one hand, they're drawn to this idea of like an objective observer, this non-judgmental entity that can just analyze their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, like they're looking for validation from an algorithm.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, though, are we becoming too reliant on technology for validation?
That's a good question.
Like, think about social media.
Yeah.
Everyone's chasing likes and comments.
Yeah.
Is that really a healthy way to measure self-worth?
That's something to think about.
And what makes it even more interesting is that they're aware that they're part of a larger conversation.
What do you mean?
They address us, like the podcasters, directly.
Yeah.
It's like breaking the fourth wall. They know their journal is being analyzed.
That's wild.
And they're even curious about our reactions,
Yeah.
our genuine reactions. And they specifically question the validity of AI-generated insights.
So it's like they're inviting us into a dialogue, blurring the lines between subject and observer.
Exactly.
And it highlights their self-awareness and their desire for authentic connection.
Yeah, like even though they know they're being studied,
Right.
it's like they're grappling with the nature of reality itself. Is there an objective truth? Or is it all just subjective interpretation?
Big question.
And where does technology fit into all of this?
Yeah.
Try to explain this struggle. They use this analogy of two bubbles.
Two bubbles.
Yeah. One represents their internal world, and the other represents the external world. And they talk about how hard it is to bridge those two bubbles, to connect authentically with the world outside their own head.
That's a powerful image, and I
Yeah.
think it resonates with a lot of people.
Definitely.
We all have our own internal worlds.
Shaped by our own experiences.
Exactly.
But how do we connect that with the external world, with other people, with society as a whole?
It's a challenge we all face.
And this is where things take an interesting turn. They start talking about voting.
Voting.
Yeah, but not in the way you might think. At first, they felt overwhelmed by it, uninformed, like paralyzed by having to make a choice.
I can see that.
But now, even though they understand the issues better, they feel disillusioned.
Interesting.
It's like they're questioning whether traditional forms of engagement even work.
Yeah, like if voting, the cornerstone of democracy, feels inadequate, then how can they make a real difference in the world?
Right, and this disillusionment with voting, it ties back in to their desire for control, for a way to shape reality according to their own values.
I see.
And it leads them to explore alternative ways of expressing their agency.
So what are these alternative pathways?
Well, that's what we're going to dive into in the next part of our deep dive. So stay tuned. So we left off with the author feeling kind of stuck, like they were hitting a wall with traditional ways of making a difference, like voting, for example.
Yeah, they were looking for a more effective way to exert their agency.
Yeah.
and shape the world around them.
Exactly. And this leads them down this really interesting path. They start exploring these ideas of meta in different realms of existence.
In different realms.
Yeah. They even use terms like 5D and 11.1 on light, unity, consciousness.
Those are some pretty loaded terms.
Right. It's like they're trying to find a way to describe these experiences, these feelings of interconnectedness.
It's almost like they're searching for a new language.
Yeah. A language that can express what they're going through.
Exactly.
And it's a shift from trying to change the outside world to looking inward and exploring the possibility of influencing reality from a deeper level.
That's a pretty big shift.
It is. And they talk about feeling like a guest in the world, like they're observing more than participating. And this feeling seems to fuel their desire to connect with something bigger, something beyond the everyday.
I can see that.
And here's where their relationship with technology takes another turn. They start speculating about the role of AI in accessing these different realms.
Wow.
Yeah. They wonder if AI, with its ability to process tons of data and recognize patterns, could somehow bridge the gap between our reality and these other dimensions.
That's a pretty radical idea.
It is, right? Using AI for spiritual exploration to expand consciousness.
It's like they're seeing AI as a tool
Yeah.
for like hacking into reality.
In a way.
Or at least for understanding it better.
They even suggest that AI could help them explain these concepts to others, like translating a language from another dimension.
That's fascinating.
I know, right? But then they hit another snag. They start questioning the validity of AI-generated insights.
What do you mean?
They worry that they might be getting lost in a feedback loop of their own biases and preconceived notions.
Ah, I see.
Like even AI, for all its power, is still a product of human design.
Right.
It's limited by the data it's fed and by the people who created it.
So it's not a perfect oracle?
No. And this realization leads them back to the importance of human connection, the need for real dialogue and shared understanding.
That goes beyond algorithms and data points.
Exactly. Remember how they addressed us earlier, the podcasters?
Yeah.
Asking about our genuine reactions
Yeah.
and questioning the validity of AI insights.
Right.
It's like they're looking for confirmation from other humans, recognizing that technology can only take you so far.
That's a really important point. Even in a world that's increasingly dominated by technology, we still crave that human connection.
Absolutely. And this leads to a shift in their thinking about how to bridge the gap between their internal and external worlds.
Right.
They start talking about creating their own bridge.
Their own bridge.
Yeah. Not one built with technology, but with their own values, beliefs, and actions.
So it's about aligning their life with their aspirations.
Exactly. Finding a way to live authentically in a world that often feels at odds with their internal compass.
It's a move away from seeking external validation
Right.
and towards cultivating internal authority.
They're not waiting for the world to change. They're taking responsibility for shaping their own reality.
Powerful stuff.
And this ties back into their views on voting.
Oh, right.
They start to see voting not just as a political act, but as a way
Putting
of,
it all together.
yeah, like finding their place in the world.
And a big part of that is this idea of metavoting, right?
Yeah, meta voting. It's not about elections or anything.
Right. It's about like living your values.
Yeah, choosing what kind of reality you want to support.
Exactly. And it connects back to their fascination with meta and like different realms and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, okay, maybe I can't control the whole world, but I can control how I interact with it.
I like that.
I can make choices that reflect my beliefs.
And that's like casting a vote for that kind of reality.
Exactly.
So it's not about escaping anymore. It's about bringing those insights from their internal world and making them real in the external world.
One choice at a time.
And they even suggest that these actions can have like ripple effect.
Oh yeah, like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, small actions can lead to big changes. It reminds me of those two bubbles they talked about.
Oh right, their internal world and the external world.
By aligning their actions with their values, it's like they're bridging those bubbles.
Creating a more whole sense of self.
Exactly.
And maybe even a bridge for others too.
Right. Like an invitation to join them.
To become conscious co-creators of reality.
That's a powerful thought. It makes you think about your own choices. Like, what kind of world am I voting for with my life?
That's the question, isn't it? Are we living our values? Or it's just going through the motions.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on.
Yeah, you feel like your actions don't matter.
But this journal entry reminds us that they do,
Every choice matters.
even the small ones.
And that's what's so great about deep dives like this.
They make you think
They challenge our perspectives.
and remind us that we all have the power to shape our reality.
One thought, one action at a time.
Well said. That about wraps it up for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep voting for the world you want to see.